Hi, friends. My name is Hannah, and I like talking about the things I am learning and thinking about as I am learning how to enjoy being alive more and, um, you know, have continued hope for the future, make sense of the past, all this fun stuff as a disabled person. So, Um, something I've been thinking about lately is the ways in which I accidentally kind of terrorize myself on a regular basis, you know, because my value, something that like I think about a lot and is really important to me is just noticing the communication techniques that we are taught to use with one another and ourselves. The ways in which we attempt to like identify the current state of things, identify a desired state of things, and then change things so you get from that point to that point. The whole process of even being a human. This whole thing we do with our brains, you know, our executive functioning, like deciding even what to do, how to use our energy, how to position ourselves and in relation to the world around us. Um, in, you know, in the past 8 years, as I got out of homelessness and I started to really care about self improvement and care because I developed panic disorder and chronic pain, and I had abusive, um, powerless situation after another, and it just broke me down. My health broke down, and I lost my ability to withstand the abuse around me. And so I was like, okay, I have to have more control over my life. I have to be more intentional about how I direct things. Like, this suffering is literally hell on earth. Like, the song Heaven is a Place on Earth. Like, hell is a place on earth too. And so I was like, not like I got you, Hannah. And a part of how I got myself at the time, according to the resources I had access to, was the whole, mental health train, the whole self improvement train, the whole um, therapy culture, the whole, these cultures and ways of relating to one another, relating to ourselves, communicating to each other, communicating to ourselves, controlling ourselves, our environments, other people, controlling, all of that stuff. Learning about all that stuff that is so essential, just a part of being human. And a lot of what I learned, it kind of developed, at the time. Unfortunately, I didn't have access to other resources or opportunities or, more balanced ways of thinking. And so I just really internalized this sense of, and panic attacks will do this to you too, or chronic pain, or anything that requires you to like be really scanning and controlling your sensations. Or, if you express something and people are punishing you, anything that is based on kind of like being persuaded or motivated by fear and pain, trauma. um, what was I talking about? I was, oh yeah. So what I learned about was just to relate to myself in like be constantly surveilling myself, seeing myself in kind of a depersonalized way, not in the sense of feeling my emotions, feeling my sensations, feeling my desires, feeling my hopes, feeling my legitimacy and my trust of my desires, my limitations, my needs. You know, if I couldn't find a way to meet the need, then I would just say the need doesn't matter instead of sorry, I'll try to find a way to fill the need, you know, that kind of thing. And yeah, so I learned just to be constantly like whenever I felt a little bit off, or just to occupy my mind, and give it focus, give it an anchor. I learned to like kind of obsess, constantly be thinking like automatically, like compulsively about how to, um, you know, identify something that's wrong with me or my environment or whatever, so that I can take responsibility and control it and prevent it from worsening, or prevent having to deal with it, or prevent tragedies from occurring again in the future. And of course, these things are really beautifully intended and motivated, and um, but and in the right proportions, the right context, it's a necessary human part of, you know, using our brains and problem solving and remembering and being inspired, being motivated by our convictions and emotions and all of that. But in the wrong context or the wrong degree, it can, and as it led to with me, it can lead to just this constant sense of not having a home in your own self. And losing contact with the other parts of your mind that are able to be relaxed, replenish, rest. You know, I definitely relate to the idea of burnout. Um, and I kind of think that burnout, for me, I see it as just changing as a person to a degree that you now have different needs and values and desires and capacities and limitations. I mean, capacities as in like strengths and skills, but also limitations. And you just change enough as a person that now you have to be like, okay, I have to find a different orientation towards myself in the world. Like, that's how I see burnout. But yeah, it takes so much energy, and it prevents us from resting, the rest that we need when we are burnt out. Takes so much energy to be constantly trying to think about, you know, what is wrong, what was wrong in the past, what could be wrong in the future. And you know, it's an interesting thing, because I think for me, part of me, you know, like I do have at this time of my life, unfortunately, I do have a lonely lifestyle, because I'm away house sitting with dogs a lot, and just like here alone in houses all day by myself kind of thing. And I do, you know, I do it for a few weeks or a couple weeks out of every month that I'm gone from home, you know, not seeing my boyfriend every day. And so, let's see, I was talking about loneliness, and then I forgot what I was talking about, but basically, I'm just realizing that part of me is trying to problem solve to not be lonely, and to have a sense of like, how can I have who I actually am, like my convictions, my interests, my desires, like developing and discovering these parts of myself, not in order to like try to play an expected role, but in order for me to like actually like enjoy being alive and feel real and feel like it all matters and like being alive is worth it. And um, a part of that is, on one hand, being like, I am wanting to be in that place in my life. But on the other hand, the things that I'm doing are preventing me from being in that place. And the things that I'm doing is I think that I'm depersonalizing myself still, and an essential part of not depersonalizing myself, of being able to actually like just feel safe from within, feel like I have a home within, feeling less afraid, less strained when I'm out these house sits, feeling more in touch with like a natural flow to my day, conserving of my energy, and understanding what uses of my energy are distractions rather than like personally relevant focuses, which I think is also really related to creativity, figuring out how to earn money in a sustainable way, or a way that ties in with our convictions and desires, like community desires, because money can enable different forms of community. Like having money as a focus can directly motivate, mobilize, engage, provide resources for community. Um, but yeah, I don't want this to be too long. Just thinking lately about how I can let my mind actually rest more, and throughout the day, instead of being this vigilant, surveilling state of trying to correct, of trying to analyze, of trying to force, of trying to like asking myself like, what should I be doing right now? What should I be doing that is most advantageous for me to like become a, like force myself to perform a different person, perform the behavior of a different person, so that I can try to have some hope for different resources to come in, so that I can, save the day and change the course of my life and be there for my loved ones, and to develop new relationships with new loved ones that is like so nurturing and healing mutually, like all these beautiful things that we all desire and crave, at least deep down. I forgot what I was saying, but basically it's just tiring to be constantly surveilling. And yeah, lately I'm just more like, there's no what should I be doing in, some big, like I have to strive, push, force myself. There's only like what feels right to me in the moment. Like I do trust that the things that are in my sphere that I engage in regularly, the cooking, the caring for dogs and making some money, the interactions that I have with my boyfriend, the process of self-discovery, self-expression through YouTube, through Substack, through just like talking to people on Reddit, through like writing and reading and trying to understand more like the language and the other not milestones, what is the word? The other like reference points out in the world to help me convey and communicate like what I'm about. Things that to like take all my values, my interests, my desires, and my joy, my grief, take that into account. um so I can better like relate to people and be like, this is what I'm about, these are my values, this is like, you know. I forgot what I was talking about again, but yeah, just trying to give my poor brain a break, because it also isn't sustainable. You know, there's a different season for everything, but at some point, like, it doesn't even feel rewarding anymore for my brain to just be going 1,000 miles per hour. And that's probably for the best, you know? We are finely tuned instruments, and everything that we experience, it is so that we can, like, have the eyes to see, like, don't resist where you're at in life, because it's enabling you. We can't be perfect in every way at all times, you know? And know that whatever you are primed for right now, that is giving you like extreme insight, like some capacity, some positioning that is enabling you to be what you need in order to preserve your priorities, your top like soul felt priorities, and to move to the next step. The next step in which maybe you will have more resources, different capacities, and yeah, so yeah, just I guess lately just accepting more where I'm at, conserving energy, and being more conscious of not pressuring myself to do things if it doesn't feel right. And without this sense of judgment towards myself, or internalized, you know, surveillance, or villainizing myself, trying, you know, exhausting myself with thoughts of how other people could villainize me or how I might villainize myself, because, you know, trying to anticipate other people's attacks. And the way to always, you know, you can never, people, we use terror against ourselves because other people use terror against us. And that's the way we're taught to relate to ourselves and survive in the world, relate to others, persuade others, work together with others. But it's of my value that terror is not a valuable communication tool. And if fear is present, if that sense of like hyper analyzing, like feeling like high stakes, high pressure, urgency to choose, decide, if that is present, then I know my default is going to be to step back and rest. You know, I can always gravitate towards that, no matter if other people are terrorizing me. You know, I don't have to be like rehearsing. And I'll always knowing that like I have radical self-acceptance for myself. I do not internalize shame, self-punishment, um, like demonize narratives about myself, even if it seems like it would make other people happy or punish me less. And I don't advocate like demonizing other people to interpret them either. So anyway, this is long enough, and yeah, just what I am thinking of lately. I hope it is helpful in some kind of way. And if you want to share something that you are thinking of on these, something kind of related to the things I've been talking about, if you want to share something on that front, I'd be interested to hear it. So yeah, take care. Bye.